welcome back. In this segment, we will be talking about the role of the Egyptian armed forces in combating terrorism by all means to restore stability in the country. And to know more about the role of the armed forces in combating terrorism, we are happy to have with us in the studio Major General Hussein Abdel. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you and to your audience.
Good morning, sir. Well, first of all, I remember we talked a lot about what is happening on the Egyptian borders. And of course, we all understand that what is happening is something, it is really not, it's a challenging it's a challenge. Talking about this war against terrorism, as always mentioned by President Sisi, and it is one of the most difficult ones because the enemy is not seen. And this is the most important part. How do you see the current situation and all the efforts exerted so far by the Egyptian armed forces?
From the beginning, let me remind you that the President Sisi said in one of his statements that we are in a real war. And this actual thing, because many of our citizens here in Cairo, in Alexandria, they don't realize, the natural of the war in Sinai. The war against terrorism is completely different from the regular war. Because the regular war, you know exactly, and you can define your enemy and how to conduct the battle against him. But in the war with terrorism, they are small elements, small fraction. They spread out on a wide area, and they disappear and appear suddenly and launch their attack against specific post here or there or patrol moving from here to there and make this explosive and some casualties among our soldiers. But on the other hand, we are trying to control the area they are moving on. And this is very important. We are doing that and we make a lot of success. I will take you to the era of the Brotherhood when they hold the power in Egypt. They allow to a lot of terrorists coming from everywhere, and they place them in Sinai. They provide them with a lot of things, with money, with weapons, with equipment. And on the other side of our border, there is some other part participating in this conspiracy. I mean Hamas in Gaza. They accommodate them. They provide them with whatever they need to launch their sudden attack against the Egyptian forces and the police in Sinai. They had some power in a specific time when the army and the police was busy with the inner affairs to control things inside the country. So they built up their power. We used to see them demonstrated in parade and semi-tracks and raising the banner of Al-Qaeda, for example, shooting in the air, and they impose their rules in this area. And to claim that this is the state of Islamic or something like this. That means they occupied this land, they established their state, and there is no power, to force them or to confront them in that time. But once we realized this dangerous and the army started to deal with them, we made a lot of success in controlling this area and to enforce them to retreat to the east, to Gaza. And through these tunnels, connected Gaza to Sinai, they always moved and make this sudden attack and disappear. So that's why I see the matter there is very dangerous, and we are dealing with it seriously. And everybody should realize that we should pay some casualties. It is a war. It is a fire. It is explosive things. No, it is not just like we see in the parade. No, it is a real war. And we really, we have done a lot of things. I can count a lot of action taken by the armed forces, and they received a lot of casualties, and also we captured a lot of them. So the matter, they are always coming from the east. They're coming from Syria. They are well trained. They are not ordinary people. They are well trained, well equipped, and they know what they are doing. So this is the real challenge there. We are fighting a soldier. Very efficient, and they had a lot of experiences in Afghanistan, in Gaza, in Iraq, in Syria. So this is a big challenge we are facing, and our determination to ruthless these elements from Sinai. Sinai now under control, but from time to time, these elements appear suddenly and make these noises and disappear. But we are focusing, we are working hard, to be sure that Sinai is not under any threat of these people, and you can move in Sinai freely from.
And compared to the past years, actually, we can see, of course, we achieved a lot in this respect.
That's what I mean, So the matter had started very dangerous, but now we are control many things. But it doesn't mean that the tourism or tourists had been disappeared from the north part of Sinai. No, because they, as I told you, they came through
the
illegal ways and launched their sudden attack and disappeared. So it is a long battle. And I said that maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's a long battle. It's not going to be ended in a short time. It will take a long time. But the main things that our determination to accept that or to deal with that daily, or to be patient and to deal with them carefully and decisively.
Now, General, I'd like to ask you about the tunnels. You've mentioned how they come through the tunnels.
Yeah.
Now, to what extent have we controlled these tunnels? There were talks about, and since, of course, the start of the armed forces, when the Egyptians called upon the armed forces to be in charge, and during the transitional period, and then during, of course, right now, the presidency of President Abdel al-Sisi, many of these tunnels were destroyed, but still there are more. Now, do we know about most of these tunnels? Are we monitoring them? Are we destroying them? And how can we control these tunnels?
These tunnels, have been established in exactly like the tunnels between Korea, the two parts of Korea. It's always branched. So this is the main tunnel. If you destroy it, they will find another one from here. If you destroy it, they'll find another one from here. So they insist to have this tunnel existed, because through this tunnel there is a lot of illegal trade, and there is some mafia on the other side. They are conducting this process because they get a lot of profit of money now of this illegal trade. So through these tunnels, the tourists come down to Sinai. Not only the personnel, but the heavy equipment. The semi-truck, for example, 4x4, they come through this tunnel, and they have the equipment to establish this tunnel in the height and width, to allow this tunnel and tracks, to move freely. So it is a real war, and those who are conducting this matter on the other side, you know, they know this is a matter of life, you know, to be or not to be for them. Because this is the artery which provide Gaza with a lot of things, which allow the illegal move. And illegal move means money.
Yes.
You know, so this is the dilemma and the problem. Is we know very well, and if you remember, President Mubarak allowed this tunnel to be established just
for humanitarian purposes.
To relieve the tension on Gaza, on our people in Gaza, to allow things to move freely. And we closed our eyes on this trade for the sake of Gaza people. But unfortunately, after the revolution, this tunnel had been used in this way.
Sir, the Egyptian armed forces has always been a symbol of strength, power, capabilities, and also stability and security in the whole region. And I believe that the whole world, they know this, understand the power of the Egyptian armed forces. And even the United States, they know how strong our armed forces are. So talking about how still we need to, talking about the normal Egyptian citizen, even though he knows, but still we need also to support our armed forces more and more. And also to just talking about, for example, all what is happening, all the challenges, the martyrs, and the family of the martyrs as well. We need all to be just surrounding these because they are us.
As a matter of fact, we have a system in our armed forces, you know, to deal with these things. A long time ago, you are talking about the first army that had been established on the earth, you know.
It is history.
Yes, it is, exactly. It's a very deep-rooted army. And when I was abroad in the United States and in Germany, and they always talk about the Egyptian very good, you know, and they always point out to the history of Egypt, you know, very proudly, you know. So this is the passion of civilization, you know. So we have, you can say, a process, you know, to deal with these things. Our martyrs, even before 1973, you know, they received a lot of care from our headquarters. We always used to take care of their families. We provide them with many things. We support them in their life. We take care of their babies, you know, till they graduate from the high schools or the universities, you know. So this is thing you cannot argue about this. You know, we are very careful. We are giving them a lot of care, a lot of attention, and what I am asking the people just to appreciate the sacrifices, the courage, the valor. No, those martyrs made for you, for the country to be safe, for the country to be stabilized, for the country to move forward, for the country to build its future. So they sacrificed their souls, and may God, may souls be rested in heaven. So all of us, the army and the people, should take care of the families and to always appreciate and to remind with high respect the sacrifice they made for us. This is the values of the Egyptian throughout history. You know?
Yes.
So this is my call to the people, and I'm sure what the army is doing is always perfect, is always is a continuous process, you know, to our martyrs, because there is some martyrs you don't know during the training, not even in the battlefield, during the training. Some of our soldiers may lose their life, you know, they are martyrs, and we are dealing with them like martyrs in the battlefield.
General, I'd like to continue asking about means of deterring or containing the terrorist groups. Now, other than fighting them on the ground, you mentioned it's a battle, are there certain other measures, like is it poverty that drives them to become terrorists, or is it political ambition? Would you tell us more about that, and how can we work on these individuals themselves to limit the numbers of those who are being recruited as terrorist members?
So those who are acting out, you know, always you're acting with some thoughts, you know, have been received from somebody, from some books, you know. And this, unfortunately, the role of education, the educational process in our country is not going well. Even the role of Al-Azhar is not going well. So it's not reaching the students in the schools, you know, to advise them, to direct them to the right way of the religion, you know, not to take the extreme right or to extreme left. Because we are always, our religion, for example, is the middle one. And those, unfortunately, you know, the victims of some...
They're being brainwashed?
Yes, no, they received from the others some misinterpretation to the Quran and the Sunnah. With these slogans, you know, it creates in their mind the meaning of al-jihad, for example. And they believe that al-jihad is an order to everybody. While in our religion, al-jihad must be determined by the boss of the country, by the leader of the country who is responsible for all the things. No, they took the matter in their hand and they are not al-jihad. And they, in their mind, if they get killed in the battlefield, they will be in the paradise, and you know, and all these things about al-hur al-ain or something like this. You know, so it is a lack of education. It is a lack of the system of building up the human, you know, religiously, politically, socially. So this system should be incomplete to take care of the student, of the young men, you know, not allow them to deviate from the right path, you know. So it is some of this on the shoulder of the government and some on the shoulder of the families. And they must cooperate very closely and very strongly to maintain the raise up of the generation, okay? Not to be in these extremist views and destroy themselves and their country.
Talking about all the challenges we are facing, and again referring to many speeches by President Sisi, talking about the efforts exerted by the Egyptian armed forces, but how do you see the role of the Egyptian citizen as well to cooperate and support, and also when it comes to fighting terrorism in general in the country? Because it is not only about the Egyptian armed forces, but definitely the normal Egyptian citizen has his own role as well to protect his country.
This is a very major point, you know, we have to spot on. The role of the citizen, the role of every personnel on this earth, you know, is to cooperate with the armed forces, to tell whatever he feels suspicion about some move, some person, you know, and we should establish a very quick and free line, you know, to allow the citizen to contact the armed forces or to contact the police or whoever, you know, responsible for the security. Because this is not,
I think we have something like this.
I have just 2 eyes, you know, but my eyes should be yours and everybody. So because this is our country and we have to do everything to maintain our stability and our safety. through which we can build up, through which we can move on. But if everybody say, no, it is not my business, and they feel with this feeling of apathy, so these things is very dangerous, and everybody who are not
It is the social responsibility.
Exactly, exactly. Not only the armed forces, not only the police, you know, but in COVID. And if you review the news coming from the Western, for example, you will find somebody make a phone to the police, make a phone to an official, and telling them about something he feel worried about it. So they move very quickly, they move very decisively, and to prevent the action before coming to be true. So I ask everybody, you know, to be the eyes of the police, the eyes of the army. Everybody has illegal arms, for example. You know, he shouldn't have this arm unless he get a license, you know, to use it. You can report to the army, you can report to the police, because it's very dangerous. Even in the normal quarrel, you know, we'll find victims by using these illegal arms. So everybody should be conscious, everybody should be active, you know, in dealing with these things, because it's very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And this is not my rule only, but yours. Because we are living in this country, and our responsibility, or the responsibility is sharing between me and you. And you have to do your job as it should be.
Well, indeed, as you've mentioned, General, and as we all know, the Egyptian Armed Forces is playing an important role in combating terrorism and securing the stability of the country. But we need to talk more about it, but unfortunately you have to wrap up this segment. So I'd like to thank you very much, Major General Hussein Abdel for this interview. Thank you very much, sir.
It was a pleasure.
The pleasure was ours. And we will be going out for a quick break, but we will be back for more on the breakfast show, so stay with us.